Hello everyone and welcome again to my channel Press F for Fashion. On this channel I upload Clo3d or Marvelous Designer pattern making tutorial videos from the book Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong, and I am getting regular in uploading these tutorial videos. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do hit the subscribe button. In this video, we are going to do the double dot series in which we will be creating double dot variation for the front bodice by using slash and spread method and pivotal transfer method. And as a bonus content, I will be showing you how to convert a dot into a pleat. For this tutorial video, the requirement is a front and back basic bodice block. And if you don't have a basic bodice block, you can create it by watching my previous video. The buying links for this book and other pattern making books that I recommend are in the description below. Now, with that out of our way, we can start with creating double dot variation. So in this 2 dot series, we are going to start with the waist and side dot, and to do this, we are first going to trace our front bodice block with dot originating from the bust point. After tracing the pattern, right-click anywhere in the 2D window, then select Lock All Pattern Outlines, then marquee select the whole bodice and press Delete to get rid of all the internal lines. Repeat the same process to unlock the pattern outlines. Now go to the Polygon tool and select the rectangle option, then left-click anywhere in the 2D window, and in the dialog box, just hit OK to create a default rectangle pattern. Now place the bodice block above the rectangle, aligning the center front with the rectangle side. Then with pattern tool selected, hold press shift and left click on center front, waist point and rectangle's corner point to select both the points. Then again right click on one of the points and in the pop-up menu, select the matchup option to align these points perfectly. Again, with pattern tool selected, right click on the dot point or the bust point, then go to the internal perpendicular line option and click on Y axis. In the dialog box, check both options and hit OK and delete the line from center front to bust point. Now we are going to name the dot legs A, B and the side seam waist point X. Then hold press shift and select both the dot legs and right click on it, and in the pop-up menu select the rotate dot option. Now click on the side seam point created by the perpendicular line and drag the guideline to the bust point, then select the lower X B part to rotate it until the point X touches the rectangle's baseline. After this, release the selection and drag the dot guideline closest to the bust point but not till the bust point, as it won't register the dot then. Now with trace tool selected, trace all the pattern lines and the dots, then right click on it and select trace as pattern option and place it next to the back bodice. The next step is to center the point of the waist dot 3/4 of an inch from bust and 3/4 to 1/1/4 of an inch from bust point of the side dot. To do this, hold press shift and select both the dot legs of the waist dot, then right click on one of the dot legs and in the pop-up menu, select the edit dot option and in the dialog box, record or copy the length measurement and click on cancel. Now subtract 3/4 of an inch from the dot length measurement, then again repeat the same process to edit the dot and in the dialog box, type in the new measurement in the length option with shape dot cap on and hit OK. Then just press enter to shape the dot cap. Now drag the side dot point to the bust point and repeat the same process to edit the dot. Here you can subtract 3/4 of an inch to 1/1/4 of an inch, and I am subtracting 3/4 of an inch for this dot length too. Now after editing the dot, create the corresponding sewing lines to the side seams, darts, center front and the shoulder line of front and back, and then create a symmetric pattern with sewing too. After the sewing is done, activate the Show Arrangement Points option. Then with Transform Pattern tool selected, click on the front bodice and position it correctly on the arrangement points over the avatar. Repeat the same process for your back bodice too and press spacebar to simulate. And now we are done with the side dart. The next dot in this series is the shoulder dot, and again here we start with tracing the base side dot pattern and follow the same drill as before to reduce the dot length by 3/4 of an inch. Now after reducing the dot length, draw an internal line from side dot to the bust point. Then again to create a mid shoulder line, select the shoulder line with pattern tool, then right click on it, choose split, and in the dialog box check the uniform split option and hit OK. Then create an internal line from this midpoint to the bust point. Then select the side dot to bust point line, right click on it and select the cut option to cut it off, and repeat the same process for the mid shoulder point to bust point line. Now select the both side dot to bust point line and right click, then go to the matchup option and select to start option. Now select the cutout part with pattern tool selected and double click on the center pivot point to activate it and drag this pivot to the bust point, and then go to the top handle and rotate the selection anti-clockwise till the side dot is completely closed off. I know this is a lot of pain, but this is the way. After closing the side dot, we are going to trace this pattern with trace tool, then right click on it and select trace as pattern. Now we can reduce the mid shoulder dot length by 1 inches. To do this, simply select both the dot legs, then right click on it, select the edit dot option, and in the dialog box type in 1 inch subtracted dot length in the length option. Keep the shape dot cap on and hit OK. Again, create the corresponding swing lines to the side seams, darts, center front and shoulder line of front and back bodice. Then marquee select the whole front bodice, then right click on it and select the symmetric pattern with sewing option to create the same. Then select the front and back bodice pattern and position it correctly on the arrangement points over the avatar in the 3D window. But before we start the simulation, we first need to equalize the front and back side seams, and to do this, with pattern tool selected, first click on the back bodice side seam line to record the measurement, then right click on the front side seam line and in the pop-up menu, select the change length option. Then in the dialog box, type in the back bodice side seam length in the length option. Change the arrow direction to in, as it should be pointing towards the armhole point, and hit OK. Now we are ready to simulate, so just press the spacebar to simulate. And we are done with the shoulder dot and waist dot bodice. Next up is the mid-neck dart, and we are going to use pivotal transfer method this time. To do this, first we are going to follow the same drill as before of tracing the base side dart front bodice, then reducing both the dart lengths by 3/4 of an inch. After reducing the dart length, create an internal line from side dart point to the bust point, then create a midpoint on the neckline by using uniform split option, and then create an internal line from mid-neck point to the bust point, mark the neck point C and the side dart legs A and B respectively. Now we are going to trace all the pattern outlines, darts and the internal lines including the bust point to side seam guideline. Then with the trace tool selected, right click on any of the yellow highlighted line, and in the pop-up menu, select the trace as an internal shape option, and then with transform pattern tool selected, select the entire internal shape. Then double click on the center pivot point and drag it to the burst point. Now go to the top handle of the selection and rotate it anti-clockwise until the point A of the internal shape completely closes off with the point B of the main pattern. It may require a few attempts, but eventually you will get it. Now after closing the side dart, we will create an internal line from the mid-neck point of the internal shape to the burst point. Then with trace tool selected, trace the internal shape from mid-neck dart line to point B, then switch tracing to the main pattern and trace it up to point C dart line, including the waist dart. Then right click on it and select trace as pattern option. Now we will delete the unnecessary internal line and point and start creating the corresponding swing lines of the front and back. After we are done with the swing lines, marquee select the front pattern, then right click on it and select symmetric pattern with swing to create the same. Again, to equalize the side seam measurement, we will record the back side seam and change the side seam length of front by using the change length option. Now place the front and back pattern correctly on the arrangement points over the avatar and hit the spacebar to simulate. But I forgot to reduce the dart length, so we have to reduce it now. To do this, we are again going to use the edit dart option and subtract 1 inches from the dart length in the length option. Also uncheck shape dart cap option, then hit OK, and now we are finally done with the mid neck dart and waist dart pattern. Just hit the spacebar again to simulate. And now we have reached to the last but not the least part, which is a bonus content where we will transform a dart into a knife pleat. To do this, we start with the same process as we did previously, that is tracing the base side dart pattern and reducing the dart length by 3/4 of an inch. And after reducing the dart length, create an internal line from side dart point to the burst point, then create another line from shoulder tip to the burst point. Now as you can see, we can't cut these lines and so we cannot use the slash and spread method here. Hence, in order to transfer the dart to this point, we need to use the pivotal transfer method. To do this, with trace tool selected, trace all the pattern outlines, internal line and darts, then right click on it and select trace as an internal shape option. Now with pattern tool selected, select the entire internal shape, then go to the top handle of the selection and rotate it anti-clockwise until it completely closes off with the side dart. After closing the side dart, we will create an internal line from the shoulder tip of the internal shape to the bust point. Now with trace tool selected, trace the internal shape from shoulder tip line to the side dart point, then switch the tracing to main pattern from this point to the shoulder tip. After tracing is done, right click on it and select trace as pattern option. Now if you get a shape like this, simply drag this main pattern shoulder tip to the internal line, shoulder tip guideline, and we are good to go. Again, by using edit dart option, we will reduce the dart length by 1 inches and uncheck the shape dart cap option and hit OK. And now we will end up with the shape dart cap line. Then to convert these base lines into internal line with trace tool selected, select all the dart base lines and hit the enter to convert. Now trace it as pattern and redraw the dart legs to its original point. Then use the same process as before to equalize the side seams of front and back. After equalizing, we will now change the fold angle and fold strength of the dart lines to convert it into pleat. To do this, select the first line from your left, then go to the property editor, leave the fold angle at 180 degree and turn on the fold rendering. Then select the middle line, go to the property editor, change the fold angle to 0 degree and turn on the fold rendering. Again, select the last line, go to the property editor, change the fold angle to 360 degree and turn on the fold rendering. Now we can create the corresponding sewing lines. For shoulder line, create the sewing line till the shoulder tip before the dart, and to sew the pleat, start the sewing from the midpoint of dart cap in both the direction, then create a sewing line from right dart leg point to the midpoint of dart cap and create the corresponding sewing line on the other side originating from the same point, and please use the free sewing tool to get the same sewing length. After we are done with the sewing, place the patterns correctly on the arrangement points over the avatar. Now to make sure we get a perfect pleat, select the first line from your left, go to the property editor and change the fold strength to 100, then select the middle and in the property editor change the fold strength to 0, and for the last line too, change the fold strength to 0. Now hit the spacebar to simulate, and if your pleat is also facing in the wrong direction like this, don't worry, just use some brute force or the fold tool to get the pleat into its original direction, and with some manual fixing and adjustment to the 3D pattern, we can achieve the desired look of our pleat. And now we are done with converting a dart into pleat. So this is it. I hope you have now learned to create the double dart variation and to convert a dart into a pleat. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. I will see you all again in the next tutorial video. Till then, keep pressing F and peace out.